Retire to what? That's the big question you're going to ask yourself before you retire, or even shortly after you've become retired. What is my life going to be like now when I retire? This is a question which is an important one. And you might think that it's got virtually everything to do with, can I afford to be retired? But that's not what I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to talk about how you will feel once you realise that you have at least reasonable monetary security. No one's going to kick you out of your house and home. You're going to be able to get a feed and a place to sleep. And then your retirement begins. Now, you might have heard about the 4 phases of retirement. Freedom. I'm free of work, free of the routine, don't have to get into the traffic jam, etc., etc. This period of freedom, the first phase or the honeymoon period of retirement, can last a long while or a short while. If you've got plenty of money, if you're a multi-millionaire, it might last a bit longer than if you haven't got a lot of money. If you're very rich, you might decide to book yourself on a luxury cruise on the QE2 and cruise around the world for a couple of years. If you aren't rich, you might decide to go for a holiday up the coast or down the coast for 3 weeks or a month. And then you come back home. And then real retirement begins. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? How am I going to be in retirement? And this is where a lot of people become very depressed. You've probably heard of the 4 phases of retirement: exhilaration and excitement, depression and disillusionment, and then the seeking, the search, and then, if you're lucky, the finding of what you really want to do with your life. All of these things are important. But I'd like to mention something which you might not have thought of before. When we leave work, we leave a whole lifestyle behind. A lifetime of routine, of getting up at a certain time, going to work, getting into the traffic jam, starting work, coming home, having meals at a certain time. All of this is now behind you. But worse than that, not only have you lost your job, you're no longer in work, you lose a lot of your friends. Some of your best friends might have been workmates, colleagues, people you'd have a beer with after work. Once you go back and meet these people again, they're still working and you're not. You don't feel as though you belong anymore. And this feeling of wanting to belong is very important. No matter how solo you might be, no matter how independent you might be, we all need to belong to something, groups of people, a family of sorts around us. So how can we get that? When you're retired, you could find yourself right out alone, on your own. If you don't have a partner, if you're not married or have a partner, then you really do feel you're alone. So what can you do about it? My advice to you is this. Before you retire, well before you retire if you can, make friends outside of your working environment. Join something, join an organisation. Some organisation which reflects your particular interests, whatever they might be. If you're into fishing, in the old hackneyed you're going to go fishing when you retire, you join groups of people who are into that sort of thing and perhaps do it on the weekend. The point I'm making is this: join an organisation or group of people who have interests mutual to your own outside of the working environment. Because when you retire, you're going to be outside of that working in retirement. And if you have friends and people you can go and meet and see, once you've retired, it makes it a lot easier. You have things to look forward to. I belong to an organisation known as Toastmasters International, which is a group, which is an organisation worldwide, which teaches communication and leadership skills. I've been in it for 50 years. So when I retired, I just continued with the group, with Toastmasters International. In fact, I stepped up my activities. Instead of just belonging to one club, I joined 2 clubs, then 3, then 4. It's now shrunken back to 2 clubs, but I go along to 2 clubs. This gives me something to do every week. At least once a week, I can go to a Toastmasters meeting. You need to join something that'll keep you able to go out and meet people that you like and enjoy being with on a fairly regular basis. My advice to you, start this before you retire. Form these groups and organisations or join them way before you retire. And then when you do retire, it won't be such an upheaval, such a jerk to you. You'll be glad that you joined and have friends outside of your working environment. It makes the transition that much more easier.